All right, you're watching TVC Breakfast. Let's get into the papers now. Let's see what the headlines are across Nigeria. And I have with me in the studio some of our regulars to help make sense of some of the headlines we'll be looking at. Now, I have Jide Ologun here in the studio. Jide, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, Mike.
Great. And I also have Tunji Abdulhammed here. Tunji, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Great. Now, let's begin with the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper says, governors pick 6 holes in Petroleum Industry Act. Oil industry law, a recipe for disaster. That is what they're saying here. Governors pick 6 holes in Petroleum Industry Act. Okay, that's the Nation newspaper. The Nigerian News Direct is next, and it says $700 million recovered loot. 36 states sue federal government over non-remittance into federation account. Okay, 36 states sue federal government over non-remittance into federation account. Right. Now let's look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian says, despite PIA, federal government to retain subsidy, sell petrol at 162. Insists allocations to host communities frontier development justifiable. Law not perfect, but a good start, APC admits. And Wike saying sending 3% directly to host communities will cause crisis. Okay. And experts call for investment in modular refineries to end petrol import. Do not withdraw fuel subsidy, Huriwa is warning. All right, that's the Guardian newspaper there. Then Business Day is next, and is focusing on VAT, value-added tax. Expected winners, losers if sharing formula changes. All right, just trying to give a breakdown there as Business Day. From there, let's go to the national economy. Poor logistics capacity pose a competitive disadvantage for Nigeria in the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement market. All right, poor logistics capacity poses competitive disadvantage for Nigeria in the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement market. From there, let's go to the Punch newspaper. And it's talking about the signing of the PIB into PIA. Buhari bowed to majority wish, says Asu Rock. South blames lawmakers. President not insensitive, but responsive to the yearnings of the majority of Nigerians, as an aide is saying this. And South National Assembly members ignore their people, voted for party, says governor's aide. Okay, that's the Punch newspaper. Blueprint says 36 states drag federal government to the Supreme Court, allege diversion. Seek return to federation account, want the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission to design sharing modalities. Recovery is governed by international conventions, not local legislations, as the Malami is saying this. A suit will promote openness in governance. The CSOs are saying this. That's on the Blueprint newspaper. From there, the Vanguard newspaper is next. And it's focusing on PDP fresh crisis as governors NEC members rally round Secondus. Fresh crisis as governors NEC members rally round Secondus. Governors, NEC members may back Secondus for second term. Fayose or Yinlola, others may contest. Talks in zoning chairmanship premature, says a deputy party scribe. The National Working Committee meets today on Convention Planning Committee. And so several other riders there to that story. That's the Vanguard. First News is next, and it says Akintoye to parties don't present candidates for 2023 elections. All right, don't present candidates for 2023 elections. Okay, those are some of the, that's the headline on the First News. Daily Times is next now. Daily Times says, our increasing population keeps me awake at night. Obasanjo is saying this. Our increasing population keeps me awake at night. That's Daily Times. We certainly will be talking about this because it's a fallout of an event of the United Nations Population Fund agency that was held recently. Now, Daily Sun is next, and it's Masari saying, take up arms, defend yourselves. Katsina governor tells residents. Take up arms, defend yourselves. Katsina governor tells residents. That's Amidu Bello Masari. This is troubling when you hear this sometimes. Okay, if time permits us, we'll certainly talk about that. The Nigerian Tribune is next, and it says, bring repentant Boko Haram insurgents to trial. Iowa Consultative Forum tells the federal government, arm yourselves against bandits, Masari tells citizens. All right? Bring repentant Boko Haram insurgents to trial. ACF is telling federal government. Okay. If time also permits us, we'll talk about that. Leadership newspaper is next. Tofa Yayali Ahmed, Jega Agwai, others move to save the North. Talking about insecurity here, Tofa Yayali Ahmed, Jega Agwai, others move to save the North. Okay, that's a leadership. Daily Trust is next. Daily Trust says, why Tegina Yauri students remain in captivity over 2 months after. A government bandits leader in talks for prisoner swap. Informants frustrating in negotiation as parents are revealing this. Bethel School abductors insist on 80 million naira ransom. Our position will not change. Niger commissioner is saying this. And on the front page there are bold pictures from Afghanistan following the Taliban takeover of the country that is sending signals across the country, across the world. Okay. Now, we'll look at all of these, some of these issues. Let's start with the Petroleum Industry Act, the PIB, that is now translated and renamed PIA, because now the president has signed. Now, The Guardian puts it, despite the PIA, federal government to retain subsidy, sell petrol at 162. This certainly will negate what originally the idea of the PIA is supposed to be when you're commercializing the company, that the market forces are supposed to determine what all that should be. Let me start with you, Jide. What do you make of this?
I believe that this is just for the moment, retaining the price at 162 naira per litre. If you look at the economic environment, because increasing it now may become a volatile issue for the government to handle. But having signed this into law, there are still gray areas that the governors and some stakeholders are complaining about. If you look at the frontier allocation of 30% to go and push for discovery of oil in some parts of the country, the 3% in the host community, the fact that the revenue may not be, remitted into the federation account, the fact that the governors may not own part of the NNPC Limited or whatever. So there are still issues, but it's been signed into law. And my position is that it's not just about you having laws. We have enough laws to be the third richest country in the world right now, even without the Petroleum Industry Act. But what have we done with the laws? I was monitoring the news this morning, and it's been reported that the Controller General of Customs is blaming NNPC for the massive smuggling of petroleum products outside the country against the laws of the land that stipulate that you don't grant license for petroleum stations to be sited about 10 kilometers to border. These laws have been flouted. So our case is not that of having laws. Our case is not moving by the spirit of the laws. I have said that if you want to know the power of the Nigerian Constitution, go and study Section 14 to Section 17 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended. If the provisions there have been implemented up to 60%, Nigeria should be the third richest country in the world, and there should the unity of Nigeria should be an outstanding model. So we thank God that this has come to be after many years, but we expect that enhancing the fortunes of the people, jumpstarting the economy, bringing prosperity to the people will be what will testify about in years to come.
All right. Now, Tunji, I spoke with the guest earlier on who drew attention to the issue of engagement, collaboration, consultation, and all of that. Generally, this forms part of the challenge we often have, where you're making a law, or a law is going to be put in place, or a program or a project and all of that, and all the stakeholders, everybody who matters, is not necessarily in agreement or on board with the totality and how these things are going to operate. Talk to us from that window as to how government is carrying the Niger Delta along.
Exactly the reason why I am not excited about it, about the PIA. I am not excited because one of the reasons has been brilliantly identified by Mr. Ologun when he talks about the fact that law is not our problem. Our problem is implementation. How have we been implementing our law, the law that we have before? So implementation is what is my worry. Secondly, the passage of the PIA to me, when we have issues that have not been resolved, is a foundation for immediate future crisis and agitation. In other words, you are laying foundation for people to carry arms, to start agitating, to say we are being marginalized. Surprisingly, or we will not be surprised, you will not be surprised that people who are in the forefront now will be the same set of people that will say we have been marginalized. This law is against us. This law is this and that. You see, when you deliberately, we have deliberately create issues for ourselves, or consciously create issues by this law. Well, yes, there are issues. I expect that, look, when a law is to be passed and people are raising issues, particularly those who majorly have the resources in their domain are raising issues, I expect that we should look into it critically. It's not about just passing the law. This PIB that we're talking about, that people are saying, no, it's been long, we need to pass it now. The issue is that, look, the law before now has been passed by the National Assembly but was not signed because they were not perfect to an extent. So it's all about, what is worth doing is not doing well. It's not just about signing the law. We are saying we are going to have a NNPC Limited. It's going to be same of the same. Because NNPC Limited will still be owned by the government. So in other words, we are still running, it's just a change of name, not change of character and attitude. Because those that will become shareholders of the NNPC will still be the same people that were appointed by the government. So indirectly, we are still running NNPC as a government. Or otherwise, tell me who is buying the NNPC now? Who will be the shareholder?
Well, investors are expected.
Are they selling it now?
Investors are expected to come in to take that part of what government usually does. So if investors come in, it becomes a private company.
I am not excited on that because I know Nigerians. The implementation of our law is a major problem, and I know I'm not an advocate of a doom or whatever. I know in the nearest future you will hear agitation about this particular bill, and people will now be blaming law. Okay. They will not remember they are supporting the same law that say, look, let's just be. That is how we came to where we are today. Let's just put somebody in without looking at the necessary criteria. So when we have the attitude of let's just go, let's just do this, we will fall into crisis thereafter.
Okay, Jide, as at now, our refineries are not working. Let us make that statement, because if they are, of course, we won't be talking about sending crude oil to refine somewhere and bring back. Or let's say they're not working at our optimal level, and the industry act that has been signed into law by the president is meant to ensure that everything works. And if we refine, like some experts have said, if we refine our oil by ourselves, the cost of extracting and transporting before we buy back again or bring it back, as the case may be, that cost would have been cut off. But as it is now, what will this mean to the issues of refinery? Recall that a lot of hundreds of millions of dollars was signed recently or approved recently for the maintenance of these refineries.
In fact, recently, I think Nigeria lost about 71-point-something billion naira in the oil sector. When you benchmark the amount deployed for maintaining the moribund refinery to the revenue that came in, it's quite ridiculous. But I think it's a matter of choice. The United States of America has about 135 functional refineries. So, and some other countries of the world. Europe, where we refine our oil, they've invested in it. So we take our crude oil there, they refine, keep some of the byproducts, bring back to us at premium and sell to the people. And I think this has to do with governance intelligence. One of the things we learned, factors of production in secondary school, is nearness to
the market.
You know, the labor, the capital, and everything. So right now we have the crude oil in abundance. And do you know what bothers me? A study revealed to me that Nigeria is not even an oil field. Nigeria is a gas field. And this country has the largest deposit of proven gas in Africa, and yet we are the capital of poverty. So irrespective of the act, if we don't change our economic governance mindset, we will remain poor, because there are suspicions already. Look at the 30% for frontiers allocation
exploration
versus 3%. Do you know what Rwanda has done? Rwanda brought in millions of dollars in the, I think about $400 million in 2018 in the tourism sector. People coming to watch gorilla, you know, and other tourism attractions there. Do you know what they have done? They have gone into partnership with the host communities. They even carry out naming ceremonies for these gorillas. And the host communities enjoy, you know, an impressive chunk of the revenue. So they are the ones protecting the business. But what do we have in our own country? The host communities are the one rising up to say, no, we are going to frustrate operations. And I just said it now. And go and Google it, and the Controller General of Customs blaming, and then if you know what we lose to oil theft and smuggling, so what is the business of customs? And you see them going to seize rice in one market in Ibadan, you know, so we need to get serious. Let me echo Sheikh Zayed, the founding father of the modern UAE of blessed memory. The man said that wealth is not money, but developing people. And let me also make reference to Lee Kuan Yew, the founding father of the prosperous Singapore. The man made up his mind that we move from being a third world country to a first world country. Singapore left Malaysia in 1965. In 2019, Singapore has the best profile of food security in the world. Ireland took over in 2020. Today, Singapore is one of the best places to live and work in the world. So what is the problem of Nigeria?
In those models of either the UAE or Singapore, as the case may be, that transformation and sustenance happened under a totalitarian system.
So what is the difference?
Do you think that also contributes to the success that they had there, different from where we are?
You are tempting me this morning, because it's true.
No, I'm just trying to see from another perspective.
I'm beginning to come up with a research topic for myself.
Okay.
Totalitarian democracy. And that may appear to be what we are practicing in Nigeria. Barrister Abdulhammed just wonderfully mentioned it. Do we carry out stakeholders' interest in some of these things? It's what the government wants to do. Right now, the 36 governors in the state are suing the federal government and the Attorney General of the Federation on the issue of recovered money not being remitted into the Federation account. And if you go and look at Section 162 of Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, subsection 1 and subsection 10, you will see. But Malami is saying these recoveries are not guided by local laws. Okay. So what are we talking about? It's the commonwealth for the common good.
Yes.
And unless we come back to that template.
We have to go into that research that you talked about so that we can dig into those aspects. What kind of leadership can bring us to that, you know, pedestal of development that we can borrow from? I really wish we had time to discuss other things and so on.
Even the followership.
No, of course. But leadership first, because leadership is the one that directs, charts the course and guide everyone towards a good followership. But we have to leave it here now, and maybe we'll come back again to you know, discuss some of these things next time. But that research, we have to do it. Jide Ologun, thank you so much for coming on the program.
God bless Nigeria.
Yeah. Tunji Abdulhammed, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.